In this video, I'm going to teach you how to search for sustainability information on the Material Bank website. So once you're logged in, before you start searching for materials, I do want to introduce you to just a couple of things at the very bottom of the page. The first is a little tab about sustainability, and you have access to some really wonderful resources and support information for how the Material Bank is thinking about sustainability and how you might be able to pass these values along to your client for future projects. And then also, I want to identify for you this area down here called the Knowledge Bank. And this is essentially a glossary of terms. So if you, as you're searching, encounter a term that you don't recognize, before you go and Google it, which is certainly always an option, you can start by looking here and search for something like, what does it mean that something has become a member of the Sustainable Forestry Initiative, for example. So those are two resources that I wanted to introduce you to before we get started. The next thing here is I want to show you how you might select some sustainable wall coverings through the Material Bank. So I'm going to go ahead and click here once again after I am logged in. And if I want to search for a commercial wall covering that's got some sustainable parts to it or components to it, I'm going to begin by first adjusting my filters here to select commercial use. I don't necessarily want to nail down or filter yet the materials this is going to be made out of, but I do want to begin to select environmental benefits, which I can select here, for example. And then also I can look at certificates and standards here and see a bunch of certificates and standards that relate to these products that I'm looking at. So if I want to just look for wall coverings with recycled content, and I want to look at what this is, for example. Of course, once we select the material here, we can see that there's under the performance criteria and under the safety criteria that we've looked at in the past, we can see here that there's a lot of information on the environmental or sustainable components of this product. And so we can see sometimes there's going to be some certificates and standards here, which we can Google these terms or look them up in the glossary to see what these mean. We can also see information about just the basic environmental benefits, if it has passed any LEED certification or if it contributes to LEED points, and then any other information that's available. And so you'll be able to select products and make note of the sustainability components of it by doing a simple search with some adjustments on your filters, as well as depending on the learning resources to better understand the vocabulary of the materials that you specify.